This is Capital Notes from Milwaukee's NPR. I'm Maayan Silver. A New York City jury convicted Republican presumptive presidential nominee Donald Trump with 34 felony charges last week. J.R. Ross explains how that could affect the presidential race in our swing state of Wisconsin. He's editor of WisPolitics.com. Welcome, J.R. Good to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so we're talking about former President Donald Trump's convictions. Prosecutors in New York had charged him with a cover-up over hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 presidential election. What are you watching for as Milwaukee prepares to host the Republican National Convention just 4 days after his sentencing is scheduled in New York?
Well, first, I would caution everybody to take a breath. I know there's lots of national speculation, of how it's going to affect the campaign. Right now, that's going to carry through November. I don't know we're ready to make that kind of prediction, right? It's still very fresh. There are lots of questions out there. But the things I'm going to watch for are things like, in the Marquette University Law School poll, there were 22% Republicans who turned out in April in Wisconsin's presidential primary who did not vote for Donald Trump. They've been sticking with Trump in the Marquette poll for the most part. Does this maybe persuade some to go elsewhere, to vote third party or stay home? For the most part, he's been above 90% in the Marquette poll among self-identified Republicans. Does this change that? There's independents. A lot of them are not, plugged in the news every single day, every single minute like some of us are. Does this break through the clutter that he's been convicted now of 34 felonies? That's something I'm going to watch. Marquette also does a national poll. They asked people back during the trial, if he's convicted, how that affect your vote? And it swung things toward Joe Biden. But that was a theoretical. Now it's actually happened. So what's going to happen? What we know right now in the immediacy is there's a lot of energy for Republicans at this point. The base is not happy with what's going on, and Donald Trump is raising lots of money. But can that be sustained for the next several months? We're still a lifetime away from November 5th. A lot's going to happen between now and then. Don't forget, if you go back and look at things like Donald Trump and the Access Hollywood video back in 2016, there's an immediate impact, but then after a few 3-4 weeks, it kind of disappeared. So does this stick to Donald Trump? That's a huge question. Does it actually make an impact? And we won't know probably for a few weeks, maybe even a month, if this really changes the trajectory of the race.
But of course, this is going to be something that continues to follow all the political conversations. The sentencing is happening 4 days before a major, political convention in this state. And, there's never been a presidential candidate that's had a criminal conviction before. So, in terms of the framing of how the political conversations are going to be this year and what's important to people, is there something that you're cluing in on?
Oh, again, just watching, does this break through with people? Joe Biden and Donald Trump are not well liked by the public. Every poll we've seen shows that. When you have an unappealing choice at the top of the ticket, does something like this change your thought process, right? There are people who are unhappy with Joe Biden because of his policies, his age, whatever reason. The ones that have been kind of supporting Trump, does this give them pause? Maybe. It's just, you just got to take a deep breath and relax a little bit. Let it play out for a little while, because we tend to overanalyze things in politics and want an answer right now. I'm just not sure if my conversations, the answer is going to be there and be written into stone just yet. It may take a little while.
And of course, there's some Republicans in the state that have had their disagreements with Trump. Robin Vos is one of them. He had disagreements with Trump over his request to overthrow the results of the 2020 election, and Vos was refusing to do that. Vos came out with a statement supporting Trump in this situation. Are you seeing that sort of cohesion in the Republican establishment in Wisconsin?
Among elected officials, yeah, it's been pretty unanimous, defending Trump. Now, Vos is interesting because he said at one point he would do everything in his power to try and make sure Donald Trump was not the GOP nominee in 2024. Now he's calling for people to unify behind Donald Trump. And don't forget, Robin Vos is facing a recall effort by people who are unhappy with him over a number of things, including his comment that he was going to try and make sure that Trump wasn't the nominee in 2024, that he wasn't essentially loyal enough to the former president. Well, now he's calling for people to get behind him. And so that it shows you how powerful this has been for some Republicans, that they are seeing this as a miscarriage of justice and a reason to put aside concerns about Trump to kind of get behind him.
And what do you see about sort of the dichotomy, or I guess I would say the dichotomy that Trump has billed himself in the past as the law and order candidate. Now he is a felon. What are you seeing in terms of effects of people's faith in the justice system, or how those conversations are playing out in terms of people that are supporting of law and order now feeling that the justice system is a sham?
Well, you've seen strains of that for a while with the various indictments against Trump, that he's dismissed them all as witch hunts, that they are all partisan, that this is all a two-tier justice system. So that's not necessarily new. I don't know that you're changing anybody's mind. If you were with Trump before this, I don't know that you're going to change, because some Trump supporters actually kind of like this idea that he is taking on the system, and fighting against it. But I'm kind of more watching as those Republicans who don't really care for Trump, but feel like he's the better option over Joe Biden. Does this change that calculation for them? Again, we won't know for a while possibly, but do they go, this is just one step too far. I know I was going to vote for Trump because I'm really happy about, let's say, inflation and Joe Biden's policies, but I just can't go there with Trump right now. Do I go to Biden? Do I go to a third-party candidate, or I just stay home come November?
And do you see that the Marquette poll that was done during the hush money trial, the one that you referenced, was indicating that Trump had, among registered voters nationwide, Trump had a slight lead, and then it became a Biden lead if Trump was found guilty? Are those kind of like the people that you're talking about in that little lead margin?
Possibly, but that was a theoretical question. Now it's real. So does it get more people's attention because it's actually happened? That's a huge question, I think. And again, it's going to take a while for it to sort itself out.
All right, you're tuned into Capital Notes. I'm WWM's Maayan Silver, speaking with J.R. Ross, editor of WizPolitics.com. So moving on to other big political stories, we've got nearly half of the legislature won't run in old districts under the new maps. Can you lay out what this means for the 2024 election?
The bigger thing is the number of departures are up to about 23 people in the assembly who are either retiring or running for a different district or a different office, like the state senate or for a judge. 3 members of the state senate who have either left, are leaving, running for something else. So it's actually not that big of a turnover. We've had 3 straight cycles of big turnover, like 30 people leaving last time, 2 years ago. So for all things considered with the new map and everything, it's not that crazy. Yes, there are members who are in different numbered districts, but even though the numbers change, are still, from the same place, occupying a lot of the same territory. There are some members who have to go out and introduce themselves to new voters, and that's really the challenge. Like, let's look at Joan Baldwin, for example. She's a Republican from Marquezan in kind of south central Wisconsin. Her district had been pretty Republican for a long time. It's been redrawn to be a Democratic-leaning one. But on top of that, it moves significantly to the west and picks up brand new territory that she's never represented before. So not only is she in a district now that leans against her politically, at the top of the ticket, but it's also new people. That's an additional challenge for somebody like Joan, who's trying to fight the nature of the district to win a re-election to that seat.
And what should voters know about legislative races in southeastern Wisconsin?
Republicans were happy because Jessie Rodriguez, Republican from South Milwaukee, is going to run again. She was also drawn into a Democratic-leaning seat. She is probably Republicans' best shot to win that seat. She's been known as somebody who's on the Joint Finance Committee, the most powerful committee in the Capitol, the Budget Committee. She's won races before by running ahead of the top of the ticket. So Republicans there got a little bit of a coup because she's going to run again. That should help them. That's key because if you look at the maps and kind of start rating these districts, they're about in the mid-40s of seats that Republicans should win. About the low 40s for seats that Democrats should win. The key is about 9 to 11 seats, and some of those seats have a lean to them. Republicans can't just come back with 50 seats if they want to have a functioning majority. They know, because there are members who have had their problems with Assembly Speaker Robin Vos in the past that have voted against various things, they need to be at 54, maybe 55 seats to have a functioning majority. Otherwise, it's going to look like the House of Representatives in D.C., where things don't work very well. Now, that's if Republicans maintain control. We don't know the top of the ticket just yet. Right now, it looks like a tie race with a slight lean for Donald Trump. Again, it's early. We'll see. Democrats have a shot to win the majority, but they need a good performance at the top of the ticket from either a Tammy Baldwin or a Joe Biden to help set the stage for that. We're not just yet seeing like a big Dem year. So it's a 50-50 election. Probably Republicans are favored to stay in control of the Assembly. And the Senate, there aren't enough seats up this fall that are competitive that would flip control. But for Democrats, they have a shot to change that 22 to 10 majority right now with one vacancy, get it down to like 19, 18 seats. That would set the stage for, in 2026, they could then go for the majority and possibly flip that chamber.
Right. Okay. So, and on that note, on the note about elections, what's the latest on the recall effort against Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, who's now in the 33rd Assembly District, if I'm not mistaken, that covers parts of Walworth and Racine, right?
Yes. So the people trying to recall him filed 9,000 signatures and change this past week. They need 6,850 to trigger a recall election. And even if the Elections Commission rules within June that they have enough signatures, it might not matter. And that might seem kind of like a crazy observation, but bear with me for a second. One, we don't know for sure which district they should be trying to recall Robin Vos from. Yes, he was elected to the 63rd Assembly District in 2022. That map doesn't exist anymore. Remember, the state Supreme Court ruled in December that map was null and void, unconstitutional, barred its use going forward. The new map that places Robin in the 33rd Assembly District doesn't take effect until the fall. We're in a no man's land. The Supreme Court was asked to clarify which map should be used for any recall or special election in the interim, declined. The Elections Commission was kind of asked to weigh in and said, hey, you're not asking appropriately, so we're not going to weigh in that issue. So we don't know for sure. So even if they have enough signatures, and honestly, talking to people in the Capitol, they feel like the organizers of the recall effort were a little bit more together with this effort, a little bit more careful with their procedures. They probably have enough, they think, to trigger recall. But Robin, more likely, would file a lawsuit saying, hey, you can't recall me from a district that doesn't exist anymore. So that would tie things up. And oh, by the way, the second factor is, even if he's recalled, Robin can still run on the fall ballot for the 33rd Assembly where he now lives, right, which is drawn into. So you not only have to beat Robin Vos in a recall election, you also have to beat him in the regular election. A man filed or announced this past week he's going to run against Robin Vos. He's got some legal problems in his past. People make mistakes. Let's not discount that. But when you do those kinds of things, they end up in mail pieces in campaigns and people hold it against you, or opponents try to. So I'm not sure that he is the perfect vehicle to challenge Robin Vos in the normal election, but that's the dynamic that you have. So you've got to beat him twice. You might have a chance to beat him in the recall because of the legal challenge, right? So there's all kinds of like balls in the air on this thing that could complicate it, which goes back to a thing I've been hearing for weeks from people in the Capitol. If you really want to get rid of Robin Vos, why not just focus all of your efforts on the regular election? I get it. I know people trying to recall Robin think that he is like an impediment to election integrity. He's done all these bad things, but nothing would really change if you recalled him in the Capitol right now. It's out of session. So people I talked to think it would have made more sense to focus on just the regular election, but they didn't make that choice. And so now we have this kind of complicated legal process and even possibly two elections going at the same time for his seat.
As you said, a lot of balls in the air. Well, thanks for being our political resource, JR, and thanks for joining me on Capitol Notes.
Hey, anytime.
That was J.R. Ross, editor of WizPolitics.com, speaking with me, WEWM's Maayan Silver. Listen for our segments every other Monday with an extended segment on Lake Effect, and check out the Capitol Notes podcast wherever you get your podcasts.